Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Bitten Apple presents Apple Bites. Hello everybody. We're sorry we're a little bit late, but it is one of those kind of days, but we're here to make it better despite the little glitches this morning. So I can't go any further without presenting to you my co-host and dear friend, the Written Rit Ralph. Hello.
Hey there, live from Rhode Island Author Expo. It is the Apple Bites.
Yes.
Taking a bite out of Rhode Island.
There's not much to take out of Rhode Island either. It's a little bitty place. Don't take
exactly.
Yeah, don't take too much of a bite out of it. Yes, we're live from the Rhode Island Author Expo. And it's very strange how this happened today. It just so happened, and it just the way the universe is, that we had two authors on as our guests today.
That is so, the happenstance of the universe doing its thing is like, hey, Ralph, you guys want to do this thing for us at Rhode Island? I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, it's on December 5th. Wait, wow, we have two authors that day. So it's perfect.
Yeah, it worked out really, really well. That's like amazing that it worked out that way. So I'm excited, that it happened that way. Anyway, I am so excited that we are doing this show today. Live from the Rhode Island Authors Expo, and I'm really excited about our guest today too. Let me get this together because this is not working the way that I want it to.
But don't worry, it's been that kind of a day. We have this Nor'easter hitting us, and at the same time, I feel like things are happening. I had that whole glitch on my computer right before we came on.
Yeah, you did. I don't understand. Okay, so tell us what happened.
Everything was on, ready to go, and then boop, the whole thing just shut down, and it took forever to turn back on.
Oh my!
Which is why it took so long to get back over here.
That's one of our biggest fears, is that we're going to actually be doing a show one day and something's going to happen, and like it happened one other time. It happened one other time when I was doing the show, and all my electricity just went off all the
Exactly. And it happened to me too. If you remember that time that we were ending the show and then I was gone and I didn't come back at all because it took forever for the computer to turn back on.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. I did have to close the show. It is what it is. It's okay.
Oh my God, yeah.
This kind of stuff happens, and this is what happens when you have live. What is the most important thing is how we recover, even if we do have like a little glitch in the matrix.
They say the show must go on, and that's what we do.
Yeah, this is absolutely right. This is absolutely right. So good that we're here where I want to be. Anyway, so we are live from the Rhode Island Authors Expo, and we were invited to this expo from our dear friend
Mike.
Sorry, I'm looking at this. Sorry. Mike Quarito, he invited us. We had him on the show recently, and he thought that this would be perfect for us to do, and we're excited. If there was no COVID, we would definitely be there at this.
Well, yeah, you know what? We've been trying to get down there for like the past couple of years. Last year, we almost made it, but the whole plan fell apart at the last minute, actually.
Yeah. Oh, really? Wait a minute. I don't remember that. What happened? We
were trying to set it up. We were talking back and forth. You might not remember because it's been a while. But we were talking back and forth about going to Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. Because they were doing their author thing, and we wanted to get over there because Mike had invited us like the year before. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to get somebody to drive us over there, and then at the last minute, the whole driver thing fell apart, so we weren't able to go.
Yeah, that's the only bad thing about being New Yorkers or East Coasters, is that we don't necessarily have to have a car here.
No.
So everything that we have to do is trains, planes, and buses wherever we go.
Exactly.
And I do, fortunately, thank God, have a car, but sometimes my husband needs the car, so it is.
Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. This is just the way that it is. But anyway, so what's been going on with you lately? How's everything been going with When Worlds Collide?
Well, it's been great. The only problem was that I got into a little depressive spat for a bit. The chemicals in the brain just weren't working the way they should be working. Yeah. And it knocked me out for a bit. So I wasn't able to write because we showcased the last When Worlds Collide on our last episode right before the holiday. and I was supposed to write something for it, and that whole thing just fell apart for a bit. But I got back on the horse, of course, because that's what I do, and I wrote the piece for the matching Negan versus X-23. And I did go in that direction of Negan talking his way out of trouble because he does have a smooth tongue.
So who would he definitely does? He definitely does. So who would have won that scenario there?
Without Negan's smooth tongue, probably it was definitely X-23. She was already tearing through the zombies like they were nothing. So
I don't know. I think Negan would probably win that too. He has the gift of gab. I mean, look how long this character has survived on The Walking Dead.
I think the edge is that he is a pretty smart character, and I feel like that's why he was able to pull this one out. It was more of a draw because he saw the need for X-23, especially in this world, especially after seeing that she was healing as the zombies were biting, because she has an enhanced healing factor.
Yes, so he didn't. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Well, I can't wait to see what else you all come up with, because it is. I mean, just digitally, the art is just gorgeous.
Oh, so
the concepts. I'm really curious that when we do go back into, being able to go to cons and stuff, which of that stuff is going to sell for you all, because the concepts are just amazing.
Well, he's decided that he wants to take all the stuff, the stories and the art, and put it into like an art book so he can sell the whole thing.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And then are you going to write the storyline behind it, or just
my pieces are going to be added to the art. So it'll be the art and my piece, on it, so that the audience can see where the story is going.
I love that. I love that.
The next piece that he's working on is Evil Ryu versus Genie.
Okay, I can't wait to see that one. I can't wait to see that. I'm telling you, I have to say something. I'm really loving that orange shirt that you have on. It matches our Bitten Apple logo. But you know what? If I did a quick glance on that, I would say that it was prison garb, because that's the first thing.
It does feel like it.
No,
from prison.
Oh no!
Picture set back here.
No, yeah, really. They let you get into like the library, into the comms room, so that you could do the show. No, I love orange, and I noticed that it does actually look just like our logo.
It's so funny. Yeah, you're looking at it. There it goes.
Yeah,
it does have
right
like
there,
yeah,
over there. But anyway, so for me, I have been actually, I'm a gamer and everything like that. So just recently, Dead by Daylight, which is the game that I've been playing, introduced a new enemy. They introduced a new monster and a new character. So I've been playing that. My goal is to get all of my characters up to level 50. But if you don't know anything about Dead by Daylight, if you're out there in the audience, so Dead by Daylight is a horror survivor game. You can play it on PC or any platform, Xbox or PlayStation. And the premise of the game is the killers who are there, and they have killers from all types of movies, all types of genres that you probably have seen before. Like, they have Michael Myers and they have, what's his name? From, I'm kind of hungry today, so I haven't talked to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
He's on there. There's all these other all these characters. There's a Jason type character. There are some witches and stuff like that from lore. And the premise is that you have 4 people that go into a map, and you're trying to survive this killer. And eventually your goal is to escape.
Right.
But you have a task that you have to complete before you escape, or before the killer discovers you. And that task is that you have to ignite generators. And I think it's 5 generators that have to be ignited in order for you to do it. Now, if you miss there's like the task level. If you miss the task, it would alert the killer that you are in the area, basically, and that you can, that they know where you are. And so they'll come and look for you. And it's very hard to escape the killer. So you feel very accomplished when you finally do, get to escape. you know, and you keep getting levels up, and you know, it's just really a really good game. I highly recommend it. If you like survivor horror, it's probably like one of my favorites. But I mean, some of the themes they even have the Stranger Things
Interesting.
characters, Nancy and them, and and all of the people that are involved with Stranger Things. They have those characters, but the new killer that they have is the Binding of Kin, which this particular character is very interesting in the aspect that you're now trying to survive two killers. This
Whoa.
this creature has this little bitty thing on his back that goes out and seeks the survivors. And while you're doing little skills around the map, you hear this little thing breathing coming after you, and it sounds like this.
Oh.
It sounds like that. However, you can defeat this little creature if you're laying low, and you can go up and actually, you know, stomp it to death before the killer discovers where you are.
Right.
But I tell you, I have been so unnerved by this particular enemy because of the sound of this thing going around.
Well, sound always makes things, you know, more. Oh.
The sound that this little thing makes is just like it gets under your skin. And if it does discover you, it actually jumps on your back. And you have to get it off of your back before the killer discovers you. It is by far one of the creepiest things that I faced down on Dead by Daylight. So good job, whoever created this one. Very good job. But that's my new thing. And this is the new character right here, too, that I'm so excited. You know, the only thing that I complain about is one of the things that when girls play video games, a lot of us women, we like clothing. We like to put our characters in different types of clothing. And so this particular character only wears crop tops. I don't know why she only wears crop tops.
She has to show off that tummy. Come on.
I mean, your tummy's nice and everything like that, but if you think that the maps are really cold, and I'm like, girl, ain't we got a sweater for you to wear? Yeah, ain't we got a sweater for you to wear, something like that? You know, I want to change up her garments for the season. You know, I mean, this is cute for summer wear, but you know, you're too exposed to be running from a killer. So
Leslie, are you streaming this?
Am I twitching my
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight? Well, actually, you know, I'm supposed to be twitching it with Mike Mayhem. So Mayhem and I are actually going to be doing this. The thing is that our schedules are really crazy, and I could twitch it on Sister Slayer. I could, but I just have not. I have not linked it up yet because I've been too busy doing these kind of shows. But I will. I can actually do it. I wouldn't say that I am the best at it, but I manage to escape a lot.
So my question was going to be, if you are streaming, are you a screaming streamer, or are you can you handle the whole thing? Because you know I've seen some of these streamers, and they're constantly playing the game, going yeah, woo, ee.
There's perks that the killer can have where normally when the killer is coming, you can hear either a heartbeat or you'll hear something in the background so that you know that you can go and run and hide. However, there are perks that killers have where they don't have a heartbeat. Like Michael Myers, he's silent like he is in the films. He just shows up behind you. So you'll be sitting there trying to pop a generator, and all of a sudden you look behind you and there's Mike Myers. One time I was playing and I did not know Mike Myers was behind me. And whoever the guy was or whoever the person was that was playing the character was looking at me like this. Like,
just
are you you're just waiting for you to go and seriously try it? And I'm right behind you. It was hilarious. If I had to do anything, I laughed so hard at that. But yes,
you played it right.
Yes, there have been times that I've totally just like screamed because something was behind me, you know, and then I laugh at the same time. You know, whenever I get scared, I laugh at the same time.
Well, it sounds like a blast.
Oh,
can't wait to see what the streaming looks like.
Yeah, we definitely will do that. Maybe on one of our shows, we could actually me and Mayhem could actually show you the gameplay for Dead by Daylight. But it's a really good game. So we do have to move on and everything. But like we said, we were so excited that we were able to get authors for this particular show. We're really excited about. I wanted to, I don't want to like, I'll read the introduction afterwards, but our next guest actually sent me her own intro.
Oh,
So yeah, so I'm going to actually play her intro. Um, which was, I was like, oh, look at this girl got her own intro. Hold on, let's see if I can find it.
well, Kristina is a creative source. I'm actually
Yeah.
working on a challenge with her for the written writ, and it's going to be something different that we've done, where
Uh-huh.
the story is going to be one of us starts the story, the other one continues it, and then and so on and so on. So it'll be like one of those camping trips where you're each person says a part of the story, and we're going to go
Oh,
back and forth for a while and see what happens.
oh, okay. Well, let's see. Let's show her little intro right here. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. All right, Christina, with your little intro that you got going on there. Go ahead, girl. I'm telling you, I was like, oh, look at that. That's nice. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce to you Miss Christina Garlick.
Hello,
Hi.
Hey,
everyone.
Kristina.
Hey.
Yes, they sold the intro. I had a friend make that for me.
You gotta have an intro, girl. You gotta have theme music. You have to. I love
Especially
it.
nowadays.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It definitely is. I loved it. I was like, oh, look at this. The only thing that I have to say that was bad about it is I wish it was longer because I was just getting into that music, and I was like, oh, this is badass. Maybe feature some of your book covers and stuff like that. So
That's a
people
good
know who
idea.
you're
Maybe
at.
I'll talk to them about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So how have you been? Hello?
Either she froze or
What happened?
oh, there she goes.
Oh,
All
there she
right.
is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, everybody just went away. I find it a little difficult to write during these times, even though we have all this free time, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I completely understand. Yeah.
Yes, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Um, I think that the thing is that people can't get their mind in the right move. People need sunshine, people need activity, people need to go outside, they need to do things, and that lends to your creative juices. It really does. You have to have activity. So you're not the only one suffering through this like lapse of whatever it is. It's just a whole different vibe that everybody's in right now.
Absolutely. The book that I'm currently working on, it's called Last Thing Forgotten. And I had this whole book planned out for the past year or so, but with everything going on, I changed it. I actually incorporated the COVID-19 into the story.
Really?
Um, and I mean, I didn't go that deep into it, but there is a scene where they end up losing their house because they both lost their jobs. And this book is definitely much darker than anything I've written before, but I think it's just because with everything going on, and I think a lot of what writers do is draw on what they know.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're not getting any activity or stimulus, it's kind of hard to do that. I know that when you're writing and stuff, like sometimes even if you're developing a character, you know, just observing people as a whole and seeing different things that people do is something that you might incorporate in a character per se. But if you're not getting that
Exactly. Hmm.
stimulation, what are you drawing it from? You know?
So
Absolutely.
do you think adding the COVID was more of a therapeutic type of thing, or was it just because okay, it's happening right now and it's on my mind?
I think it was a therapeutic thing to some degree. It was my way of dealing with it, and by writing about it, it doesn't make it as scary. Um, I think a lot of people are going through tough times right now. And if they can relate to a character, even if it's set in a fantastical world, I think they'll find comfort.
I
Hmm.
agree.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you on that. So I'm going to read just a little bit of your bio, what you did send me. It says you've been you're an author of over 20 books,
Cool
and
girl.
yes, And it's and because she's female author, one of the funny things that you put in here, which I laughed at, it was just hilarious. You said you would think that you would have no problem writing a bio for yourself. But honey girl, nobody likes writing a bio for themselves. If you like writing a bio for yourself, then I would think that you were probably the most egotistical person in the world. So you probably need somebody to write that bio for you. But I get you. I get you. Yes. And she put that she finds the process to be dreadful. You are absolutely right. It's a dreadful process to try to write your own bio. You're currently pursuing a doctorate in public administration,
Nice.
and you're a lover of superheroes and anything fluffy. It says you can be a bit quirky at times. Hello, honey, you have found your people right here, and that is part of your creative process. And we need to really check out your books. And one of the things that I really loved about your books are your covers.
Oh my God.
Your covers are so freaking amazing. Your covers. I was like, okay, I have to admit that I know that your relationship has probably been with Ralph, and they are ones that probably interviewed you. I'm not sure how the relationship is, but I've never read any of your books. But after looking at your covers, I totally want to read your books. Totally.
Leslie, you have to see the most recent cover that she got. It's just amazing.
I actually have a picture of that, so I'll bring it up. But who does your covers for you?
Well, the cover that I just had done, it's funny enough, the lady who was doing my covers initially, her name's Haley Renee Brown. She usually does all the other ones, which are as fantastic as this one. But she was unavailable, so I had this guy, his name is General. I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. It's Junriel. I'm very bad at pronouncing stuff, but he's in Singapore, and he made this cover. But the way I found him was I have these public domain pictures on my website, and I needed a cover design, and I saw that he was the one that did the public domain pictures. So I reached out to him. I'm like, I love your work. I already have it on my website. Will you do a cover for me? And he said, no problem. He got it to me in 3 days. And yeah, he gave me actually 3 different covers to choose from, and they're all fantastic. Wow. I asked people, I'm like, pick one. I can't decide. And it was close. It was either this one or this other one. It was a black and white picture, like a 1920s Hollywood glam where her hat was on fire, which is really cool too. But I felt like this one related a little bit better to the story. So that's why this one ended up winning.
Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, I have to tell you that I am a big fan of romance. So since I've never read your book, what would you say the style of this or your books are? Is it romance? Is it sci-fi? Is it what is it technically?
Well, I write sci-fi. I guess there is elements of romance. There is a love story usually in every book that I write. Whether or not they end up together, that's a different story. I'm not one of those people that do happy ever afters for every book.
Right.
Because it's kind of predictable. Sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's, cutesy. You don't know what you're going to read. Wow. The one thing I will say about my books is that I write in an unusual format. I call it diary play format, where you go back and forth from a play style to an internal monologue. So now when people read it, they either love it or they hate it. I'll be honest about that. I find that people that are really, like strict with the, grammar rules and all that stuff, they might be a little bit more like, okay, I don't know about this. But for casual readers, they seem to like it a lot. They're very easy to read.
And I think that that's what people want right now is they want something very easy to read and something that they can, not that they're not going to retain it, but it's something that they can consume rapidly. They don't want to read a poem, a big tome. They want to actually, gone are those days when we read big novels like that, but people want to read novelettes or things like that they can quickly go through. This was one of the reasons why they made Harlequin romance novels, because people wanted to consume it quickly and, consume it in a day if they could and read the story. So yeah, definitely, I love it. I'm looking forward to looking at this style that you did. What made you decide to write in this style?
Well, the funny thing is, I've actually always written in that style. I created it when I was 10 years old, which sounds
Ooh.
kind of crazy.
Wow.
And that's when I started writing books. I had my first book written by the time I was 11 years old. And it was all written in a notebooks. I had about 8 notebooks full. When I was 12 years old, I typed it up. And it was that one, nobody will ever see this book. It was a collection of it ended up being like a collection of a bunch of short stories with the same characters. There's 8 stories in total.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second book I wrote it in the summer when I was 13. And I ended up getting that one published by the time I was 14 years old and I was in high school.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. I had an
Wow.
agent and everything. And everyone's like, you're going to be super famous by the time you're 25. It didn't work out like that, but it was a different world back then. There was like no social media.
Right.
There was no way to promote it. You were at the mercy of these big companies.
Right. And what do you feel is the delay in you getting the recognition that you deserve for these books?
It was starting to happen in 2019. I was doing the big events, Awesome Con, trying to think of the Keystone Comic Con, these big comic conventions. But then this year, with the pandemic, everything went on hold. All the events got canceled that I was going to most likely do. I think I was probably going to do Baltimore Comic Con this year, but that didn't really work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were supposed to meet up with KRISTINA at a couple of the cons, and they kept canceling. And after a while, we were like, okay, I guess we're not going to do the follow-up interview anytime soon. Well, here we are.
Yeah. Well, how are you making yourself? I mean, what are you doing in this time? How are you making yourself out there? Have you thought about actually like reading pieces of your novel, on StreamYard or things like that, just actually having a moment so that it's on YouTube, ones that you would select specifically, or having someone else read them for you?
I would definitely have no problem with anybody else wanting to read it. I just get really weird reading my own stuff. I don't know why. I love writing it, and I'll read it one time, but after that, it's because I end up, when I read it, I end up like, oh, I want to do this. I end up wanting to change it every single time.
Oh,
That's how it works.
Yeah, that is how it works. You always want to perfect on your work.
Mm-hmm.
That it's bad. Like, it's a really good story, but I always want to add to it, make the world bigger.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's good, it's bad, or whatever. Even if you have the best work in the world, you're still going to be there going, wait a minute, I can do this, I can do this, I can add that. There, how about this over here? Why don't we bring another character into the story and we'll do this and this and this? I completely understand where you're coming from, because every time I read my own stuff, I have to, like, especially if I'm just looking at it to see if it's written the right way, I have to sit there and go, you're just reading through it just to make sure that you wrote it the way you wanted to write.
KRISTINA, what do you find is your biggest audience for your books?
Actually, it's teenagers usually. Like, I would say like maybe 14 and up, but people in their 20s also. It's funny. It's like teenage girls and then 20-something-year-old guys usually. That's
interesting.
Yes, very interesting. And why do you think that is?
Because I have since I have so many different books appeal to different people. Like Heart of Wonderland appeal to girls usually, while Sinners and Saints, Imaginary Friends, Arcadia, that'll appeal to boys. Nature, Fame, and Gossip, girls. Forbidden Goddess, girls. Like, I can kind of just go through them all, but different books seem to attract different audiences.
Oh, wow. This is very interesting, because you have like a mixed bag of people that like your books, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, when I do book events, I ask people what type of books they like, and then quickly I can usually say, oh, this book you'll like, that book you'll like. I can usually recommend based on people's interests.
Wow, this is like really good. So what is your motivation for each of these stories? Like, because it seems that you have like very diverse storylines. For instance, the first thing when I saw this cover right here, I thought about remember that horror film that came out last year? Shoot.
I know what
Let
you're
me
talking
think.
about. It's the mermaid one, right?
No, not actually the mermaid one. I thought about the one where they were enacting it was like a Celtic rite. These kids go to find this. They go to this other guy's hometown, and they were reenacting a Celtic rite that they do all every year. Goodness, I can't think of it. If you're in the audience, please help me out right here. Which one I'm talking about? But for some reason, that reminded me of that cover. It's such a gorgeous cover. It's such a gorgeous cover.
Thank you. That's actually my mermaid story. That's why it probably came to my head.
Yes.
With that one's kind of a fun story. It's very lighthearted. That one's actually one of two stories that kind of go together. That one's a cliffhanger, I will say that. But it could technically be a standalone. But basically, the Little Mermaid and the Frog Prince fall in love in New Jersey, and they have to go back to the fairy tale kingdom to save the world from this like dark force.
Oh my God.
That sounds good. That sounds hilarious.
The sequel to that's even more absurd. Snow White's the villain in the sequel, and she's trying to kill a woman who owns like a go-go bar because she has claims to her throne.
And a go-go bar at that. The
Yeah,
fact it's a go-go bar, not a strip joint, a go-go bar.
Yeah, it's male go-go dancers. I should probably.
Oh,
of course it is.
Could this get any better? Could this get any better? That is hilarious. That is hilarious.
My fairy tale stories are kind of over the top and a little zany. So like, you know, you kind of have to have fun with it. Like my zombie story is also completely different. Most zombie stories, like, you know, are completely dark and gory. Well, my story at Sinners and Saints, she's invisible to the zombies. So it's a different perspective. She's able to do whatever she wants. And it's a more of like, who am I in this world where everything has completely changed? And she's trying to find, it's a book about self rather than the actual apocalypse.
So it's not this book right here. You've obviously done a couple of zombie series.
Well, this book here is actually 3 in 1. It has my superhero story, Arcadia, the zombie story, Sinners and Saints, and then Nevada Rain is in that one. I have a few books where Almost a Fairy Tale, for example, is my 3 fairy tale books all compiled into one. I figured what I do is I have these 3 books. So if you just want to buy one book and have it all rather than, you know, 3 separate stories, you can do that. Also, as I mentioned, I've written over 20 something. Oh, well, I think it's up to 24 books. But they're not all available online because what I did was over the years, I was writing all these books and I didn't publish them because, again, there was no avenues to do that. So all these books are on my shelf. I'm now taking these past stories, revising them, and then putting them out, a lot of them.
That's a good way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, Last Thing Forgotten was originally written in 2005. And I basically took maybe 2 chapters from that book and rewriting the whole thing and putting that one out now.
Wow. I mean, it's so many. I mean, it's just so many things. There's so many concepts that you've come up with. I mean, this is just amazing. I love this. What I really love, which makes me find to be very appealing and want me to actually pick up the book and read it, is the cover art is just gorgeous. The cover art.
I have to admit, your cover art is gorgeous, and I feel like you have a good eye at picking what you want for your cover. And these artists have a good way of putting it together so that they fit your cover.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing. I'm loving all of this story concepts. I can't wait to delve into this. I really do. You know, I love books and I love reading, and I've specifically set up you can see, I've set this all up for my books, to read my books. My mother was, you know, ferocious about reading books. So she read like a lot of romance novels. So I love reading books. I just absolutely love reading them. I can't wait to start reading this. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. And the only reason I think my covers are good was because when I was starting out and like starting to promote my stuff, I had really bad covers. I'll admit it. Like they were just like blue. Here's the name of the book. I got an email from this woman. I don't know who it was. She wrote, "Dear Christina, your covers suck. Sincerely," I think her name was Ina. That's all she wrote. And it really upset me. But it made me start redoing all my covers because I had, I think, 4 books out at that time. And so I think my covers are getting better as they go along.
They're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. You know, they're doing really well. And it makes someone who's a reader like me want to pick up the book and find out what's behind the pages.
Oh, completely.
The cover of it. It really does. What do you feel is like, what is right now, you know, we're talking about the fact that it's very hard for you to write, but what is motivating you right now despite that? What is keeping you going? What is something that you're interested in or something that, you know, might have sparked an idea for you right now?
Well, what's kind of motivating me now is I only have 2 chapters left in the book that I'm writing. So since I'm so close to being done, I'm like, all right, I have to finish that. That's my main motivation. And after that, whenever I get close to finishing a book, my head starts going, okay, what's going to be the next story? Which it's going to be Girl on the Bus is the name of the book. That'll probably be out end of 2021, maybe early 2022, just because I am in a doctorate program. Right. And I'm taking very difficult classes next semester.
Right.
Yeah, because I was surprised that you came up with any books, because the last time we spoke, you were like, "Well, I'm going to start doing this for the doctorate, and I don't think if I'm going to have any chance to write a book." So when you said, "Oh, I got a book for this year," I was like, "What?"
Wow.
I think I'll be okay until next summer, where I will have to put it on hold because next summer I'm writing my dissertation. I'm going to actually be doing it on censorship. I don't know if you've experienced it while writing. There are sometimes issues where people say, "Oh, you shouldn't put this in your story. You should need to get rid of the bad words. You need to do this or that." And I'm very much I believe that writers should be able to write whatever they want. It's your story.
Can I ask about that? Because I'm very curious. I thought authors could write what they wanted to. When did we start being monitored like that? When were we being censored?
You can write what you want, but there are people that will target you sometimes. And they'll be like, I had one woman like, "Your characters are drinking in your story. Shame on you. Your books are geared towards teenagers. Why are you putting drinking in your book?" I'm like, well, the characters in the story are over 21. They can drink if they want. And they were at a bar in the story. And like she was lecturing me about drinking, or I had people lecture me about you know, cursing, which I do have a habit of cursing in my story.
Sorry. Wait a minute, one second.
All right, go ahead.
How are you gonna pick up somebody's book? You, a person, you choose to consume a book and then tear it apart for the contents when you could just put the book down if it offends you. I'm sorry.
I don't know, Leslie.
People
all I know is I haven't published yet.
What is this moral police coming from somewhere to tell you that you shouldn't put drinking and cursing in your book? It's your damn book. I'm sorry. That just pissed me off. Who is doing that?
All I can say is I haven't published yet, but I've had complaints about what I've written online, especially with my little story bits, and they don't like that this is there, or they don't like that this is there. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to read it. You know, you can keep scrolling. You don't have to stay and read my story.
Who are these people? Who are they?
They're random people. Even if you go onto like a book published website where they leave reviews about books, start going through different reviews. You'll say, this book has too much sex in it, or this book has, you know, the character's too weak-willed, or they'll get you for anything. And I just kind of like, I don't care what people think. This is my story. I'm going to write what I want to write until it gets banned.
There you go.
and at what point does it become banned? That's the thing. At what point does it become banned? Is it anarchist? Is this the reason why this? I mean, this is a place where freedom of speech. We're not in China. We're not in some other country that's under a dictatorship. You can write whatever you want. And as a reader, you can read whatever you want. You can select what you prefer to read, but you don't have the right to tell somebody how to write their book when they have a fan base that is following them who loves everything about the books. I don't understand this.
I agree, but it's happened throughout history. Look at book burning. I mean, it's not nothing new. Now, instead of burning the books, they just rid it from the internet.
They
Right.
just try to burn you. Well,
Yeah, it's. I haven't had it as bad as some people. Like, I just had comments here or there, and I've kind of brushed it off. But it still kind of bothers me to some degree. I don't believe in censorship whatsoever.
no, I don't believe in that either. I don't believe in that either. And I feel like I feel that, right now everybody's in the court of public opinion right now, but you have the ability to do what you want to do. I don't understand where this is moral police out there. If I decide to write something, and look at it from my perspective, I am a Christian woman, and I decide to write something that may not represent my Christianity very well, but I'm living my truth here. I'm living my truth. Then I should be allowed to do that. Nobody should tell me how I should write a book, to what I should read, or whatever. That's between me and God. And that's the thing. I don't understand who does this.
Oh, a lot of people.
Who feels they have the right to do that. This is freedom. You can do whatever you want to do. You have freedom of speech, freedom of content. You just choose as a consumer not to consume it.
Well, that's unfortunately people are doxing, celebrities or, just regular people nowadays. It could be for anything stupid. It could be something people said 10, 20 years ago. I think the problem is a lot of people have just become too uptight and don't know how to take a joke anymore.
I completely agree. Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I also feel like you going back in my past and finding something that I said when I was immature or I wasn't knowledgeable about something like that, and then vilifying me or pulling me over the coals for that stuff is ridiculous. It just is, in my opinion, is just the most outrageous thing, and people don't have anything to do. Obviously, clearly, these people don't have lives.
I figure if a person's changed from that point to now, there's no reason to bring up what happened then, because you obviously learned your lesson and you moved forward. So there's no reason to bring that back up again.
Well, but look at some of these comedians who, have made like off color jokes, and then people are vilifying them because they've made an off color joke. But the whole premise of anybody doing comedy is to make you feel a little uncomfortable, to make you laugh about it.
Exactly.
You're talking about things. You're talking. Comedy is a realm where you could talk about racism. You can talk about color. You can talk about stereotypes. You can talk about gender. You can talk about everything because it's your comedy. People don't have to sit there and be offended. If you don't like my comedy, then don't consume my comedy. Go consume what you like to consume.
Exactly.
Like, some of my characters, they won't do maybe the most moral things. They'll do some dark stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you actually read the whole story, like, you understand there is like some kind of good lesson that's supposed to come from it. A lot of times that's what books are about. They might tell you something, and it might be dark, make you feel uncomfortable, but by the end there's a reason behind it. I mean, look at like the fairy tales and the fables of the past. Disney might have scrubbed them up and cleaned them up, but the initial stories are very dark.
Oh yeah, they're horrible.
They're very, we were just talking about this last night on my show, The Tingling Tea. We were talking about the legend of Krampus. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. I mean, you've got this demonic creature meshed into the storyline of Christmas and all that is good and innocent, and you've got this demonic creature, and people used to terrify their kids
with him. Yeah,
this and that was okay to do. The Grimm fairy tales was okay for people to write about because it was something that was like a moral story behind this. At the end of the day, we have to realize that we are not perfect. And you should never hold somebody to a standard of perfection when you're not perfect yourself.
Completely agree.
Yeah, Ralph, he posted on Facebook about people like, you know, censoring art and stuff from past because these people did questionable things, like the Lewis Carroll who wrote Alice in Wonderland. He was a pedophile by today's standards. But are we going to get rid of Alice in Wonderland? I hope not, because it is a great story. I actually even have an Alice in Wonderland tattoo. You know, I just have to remove myself from that context of what these people did. They were, you can celebrate the art without celebrating the person.
Exactly. You know, that's just like, you know, we were talking about Abraham Lincoln the other day. Abraham Lincoln did a lot of horrible things to people, and everybody sees him as the savior of redeeming people that were slaves and stuff like that. But that was not his motivation. At the end of the day, this man was the president of our United States, and whatever he did, it enacted progress within our country, not necessarily for people of color, but it moved us forward in some way. So you have to take what this person did, this individual did, and you cannot vilify somebody that's dead. One thing, if Lewis Carroll was alive today and we knew that he had the same mentality, then yes, we could address it. We could address it and say, hey, dude, you're a pedophile. Either you stop that behavior or, you know, you're going to go to jail for it. But this is the past. The man is dead. He can't speak for himself, you know, but we have to say that his work, after all these centuries, has been the one good thing about who he was his content and his work, you know. And if you could separate yourself from that, there's a saying that we have as Christian people, that the gift that God gives you is always going to be the gift that God gives you, but the person is still sinful flesh.
Right.
The thing is, so the gift stays. This man obviously had a gift of writing. When we take this character, who he was as an individual, and you try to bring him into the 21st century and realize that at some point he was a pedophile, then you could do that. But back in the day, nobody said anything to this man. And that says a lot about how things have changed in this world. The same as people who were misogynistic, or some of the men that have committed some heinous acts against women in the 50s, 60s, 70s. And women did not have the voice that they have now. But you cannot go back and vilify somebody who was living their truth because everybody else lived that way and nobody said anything.
Just to add on to what Christina was saying, what happened was that I ran into this conversation where people were talking about, oh, you know, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. But I'm like, does that take away from the art? Does that take away from what the person has accomplished? Does it make, does what Michael Jackson did make his singing or his art any less?
Allegedly did,
yeah. You know, and I was like, I ran into this and I was like, I'm going to post this up on my Facebook, and I'm going to talk about it because it's something that's been running through my head even before I saw this conversation, because I feel like, you know, the fact that the person is bad doesn't change how good the art is, you know. So
the gift is going to stand alone. You know, it's up to God who he decides who he gives a gift to.
Exactly.
And that, you know, and what he gives that gift for, so that it's offered up to the world. It's up to God to decide that. We as individuals are not perfect. This is sad to say, but we're not. But I really hate the concept of going back. It's one thing if somebody's unredemptive. That's another thing. And they don't care that they've done something, that they've offended somebody, or they murdered somebody, or they killed somebody. But when that individual is no longer on this earth and they cannot speak for themselves, then we do not need to go back and vilify that person. You know,
exactly.
It just is ridiculous. I honestly feel that people just have too much time on their hands.
I mean, especially now, unfortunately.
Well, we need to get off that subject anyway. But girl, write your stuff. Live your truth. Do not try to augment anything about that, because you have millions of fans out there that love your work.
Well, thank you.
And not once did they say anything to you about why you wrote what you wrote, and to give you the opportunity to explain why you wrote what you wrote. They just went ahead and raked you over the coals for no reason. So just ridiculous.
It is. But like I said, I just keep writing. I don't care what people think.
Yes, keep writing. Keep writing your good work. Keep doing that. So where can we find you next? What are you going to be doing next?
Well, like I said, I'm finishing Last Thing Forgotten. This is going to be a really cool ending. Actually, there's going to be two endings. It's going to be choose your own ending for this book.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited to do something completely different. Yeah, you know, you don't really see that in too many adult books, and this book is for adults. After that, I'll be working on Girl on the Bus. I'm waiting for events to start back up. I can't really say I'm going to be here or there because nothing's really open. But I would love to start doing events again. I really miss it. And you know what? A lot of my time went to doing those events. And now I'm like, well, what do I do now? It feels so weird. It feels like I'm slacking.
No. Well, everybody feels that way.
Yeah, we feel you because that's how it is for us too. we do the events, and that's what kept us busy. And now we're here and we're doing live. Hey.
Yeah. One thing that I am finding that it is allowing me to do it is it's allowing you to research other creative avenues and find ways to showcase what you do. You know, so it is forcing you to kind of do that. You know, it's forcing me to read all my books in my library. It's forcing me to do, you know, it's just forcing you to do a lot of things, you know, while we've been on our timeout. And that's what I say. I think God put us on a timeout. So
that's true. I'm trying to learn Spanish right now. I'm not very good.
I think that's perfect. That's perfect. What have you learned so far in your Spanish?
Mi llamo Cristina. I can basically do like the introductions, and I can read it better than speak it. I butcher it just like everything else, but like I can read colors, I can read a menu, I can read numbers. I started 2 weeks ago, so.
Oh, you're doing well for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You're doing well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I hope I'm doing 15 to 30 minutes a day, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to accomplish with that.
I think as long as you're getting it in every day, that's all that matters. You're learning, you know, and that's something that a lot of U.S. citizens don't do, is to learn another language. So I commend you for doing that. I really do. I really do.
Like I said, I can't pronounce stuff, but I'm trying.
As long as you're trying, that's what's important. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is all of her social media. If you want to look for her on Facebook, Twitter, her website, and please go and support her work. Please go and support her content, and give an open and honest review. You know, without any
bias.
Criticism, yes, bias. You know, give an open and honest review of her work. I mean, you work obviously hard. You're pushing this out, and I can't wait to read what's inside all of these books. I really can't. You know, you're very welcome. So, audience, yes, go and follow her on Facebook, Twitter. Are you also on Twitter too? You're on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Not on Instagram. Everyone says I should be, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Especially with the covers you have, you should be on Instagram.
Oh, you absolutely should. You absolutely should put some of those covers in there and just kind of give, you know what, this will bring, you know, you put little hashtags on there and might bring a whole new audience to your books by if you at least giving a little description of what's inside the book.
That's true. I mean, I do have book trailers on YouTube as well.
Those will work well on Instagram.
Yeah, they would.
I have to figure out how to use it. I'm not actually very good with technology, surprisingly.
Talk to us afterwards. We'll help you. We'll help you, girl. Don't worry about it. We'll get you.
Don't forget, me and Christina are working on a challenge, so she'll be on the written writ soon. So, you know, you'll just follow us over there for a bit, and, you know, you get to learn more about her.
All right. Thank you so much, Christina, for being here with us. Please just stay in touch with us so we can help you with your Instagram page. And I'll definitely talk to you after I do get your book so I can start reading it. I'm really excited about it.
You like them.
Oh, I totally loved it. I was in the minute I saw the covers. So thank you.
Those explanations, I'm like, whoo.
I know, right? Yes. The concepts of it. Yeah, they're so out of there. All right. Thank you so much for being with us. Please, the audience, like I said, like, subscribe, you know, support Christina. And we'll hopefully have you back on the show again after you finish your next book.
Yes, I really enjoyed talking with you both. This was a lot of fun, and I have to say this is one of the best virtual interviews that I've done this year. You guys made it very easy to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. That's what
We
we're
appreciate
here for.
that.
Yeah, we are. This is a family environment. Let's just say a family supportive environment. So, listen, you can stay with us if you want, or if you have to go, you can. It's up to you.
I'm actually going to go just because I have to start driving. I actually am visiting my grandmother today. So I'm going to head back home.
Hi, Grandma. Oh, good. All right. Well, safe travels to you, and we'll be talking to you soon. All right.
We'll talk.
All right. You too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was awesome. I didn't mean.
Yeah, I told you she was great.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get on that soapbox, but that just it just angered me hearing that and everything. But
we're on the author expo here, so it was the perfect one of the perfect topics.
I think that is. It's one of those comments that we have to talk about as people who are authors. Is what they face. With things that are going on. When you write your content and stuff like that. But
and it's a great segue for Cupid's Farewell Christmas, because he was talking about the fact that he had to tone it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Goes right into what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So both. Let's go ahead and bring Clifford Evan in, because he's been waiting in the wings
patiently
waiting in the wings for us to figure out. Hey, Clifford.
Howdy. Yeah, I've been hanging out in my own private green room.
Yeah, you've been hanging
we go all out to make sure that your green room feels like your house.
It's amazing how that manifested here.
Thank you so much for waiting and coming in and everything.
Oh, there we are with Santa.
Yeah.
And my illustrator, Sonny Quinn.
And Sonny Quinn. So we don't have Sonny on today, but I think you all come as a package normally. So yeah,
to some degree, yes.
Yeah, to some degree, because you have to have one can't have one without the other, based on what work you all do together. So so he's going to be mentioned a little bit throughout this interview. But thank you so much. We had to end our show by talking about you, because of course your whole thing is about Christmas. And we had to talk about this, and we're going to bring in the content that we were discussing before about the fact that you had to clean up some of your content that you wrote. But we'll go into that later. But tell us a little bit about your stories, because I don't know if anybody knows anything about it, but you wrote a story called, it's 2 books, Cupid's Farewell Christmas and Santa's Mrs. Claus Tells All.
Mrs. Claus Tells All. And there's actually a 3rd book that's written. It's just not illustrated.
You were telling me about that. I was wondering if you were going to talk about it.
So those are the 2 books. And yeah, the 3rd one is, I'll just say it's about the elves.
Oh, an exclusive on the elves.
Yeah, an exclusive on the elves. And maybe there's some interesting backstories about Santa that people don't know. And it's funny because you were talking to Christina, and when I was writing, I actually wrote it last year because I had gone with Cupid's Farewell Christmas and Mrs. Claus Tells All. I had gone to the Frankfurt Book Fair with them, really looking for representation, because I had kind of taken them as far as I could take them.
Right.
Are you saying that they're 2-dimensional?
Well, no, I think that there's a lot of stuff that's going on with them. It just, in terms of marketing, that's not my forte, really. Yeah, it's fun to go to Comic-Cons and things like that and do social media marketing, but I felt like these books, there's a universe for them that was beyond my capabilities of moving them.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I was like, I had an opportunity to go to the Frankfurt Book Fair. And I met my agent there, and she kind of fell in love with them, and we've been working on. And so in some ways it's sort of on phase 2 of the whole project, because now it's sort of being shepherded in a different way than just myself. But back to what Christina was saying, I had kind of started to write the elves version of it, and that was like last October, and I was writing it on the airplane coming back from Frankfurt. And then I decided to revisit it, and it was like I was revisiting it and rewrote it and finished it during COVID time, and sort of infused some things about like what we might expect about Christmas now during COVID into that elves story. And if you know Cupid's Farewell Christmas, and even if you know Mrs. Claus Tells All, there's certain similar things, and a lot of it's about Santa being sort of burnt out on being Santa and not, like kind of wanting to retire, like in Cupid's Farewell Christmas, and like to Vegas or to Cannes or to Boca Raton. So the things, about, the elves part, the elves book sort of took some of the COVID stuff and, superimposed it on Santa's general malaise about being Santa at this point of his like 20th century career, not century, 20 decade career as being Santa. So it's kind of, I was listening to Christina and kind of hearing how she sort of put some COVID infused thoughts into her book. And it sort of happened a little bit. It's not the focus of the elves book, but it's still, it contributed to some of what's going, some of the trouble, let's say, in that book might be because Christmas just isn't the same, as we're going to see in 3 weeks. With Mrs. Claus, if we're just kind of backtracking, and that one, I mean, it's very close to being ready, but it just didn't make it for this year. But I would expect to see it next year. They're sort of, they're all gonna, the whole thing's gonna be kind of like handled as a package. I'm sorry, Ralph?
It makes sense. It'll be a package. It feels like a Christmas trilogy. And and Mrs. Claus Tells All kind of like gives some secrets about what's really going on behind the scenes. And she used to be, just to give a couple of the things away, I don't want to give too much of it away. She used to be an Arctic Circle beauty queen, and she had another love before Santa.
So here's the thing. Before we go any further, because we know what these books are like. Can we explain to the audience that has not read these books what is really going on here and why Santa seems to be off the chain? See, the thing is that people don't know how these books are written. So it's not necessarily your normal Christmas story. Can you just kind of tell us, Clifford, what these stories are about and like?
Well, you say that they're not your usual Christmas stories, and on one hand, I agree with you because they're not. In some ways, like Santa is like he's a metaphor, and he's a cigar smoking metaphor for Christmas that's been sort of beaten to a pulp by, commercialism. The commercialization of Christmas and the material aspects of it. So it's, the burnt out Santa is sort of the burnt out Christmas in a sense. But in the end, they're both Christmas stories, or they're all Christmas stories in the end. We sort of, at least, in our Western perspective of Christmas, we're sort of, we anticipate a certain kind of ending.
Right.
And without giving it away, and Ralph knows because he's read them, they have, they might not be like the expected ending, and I hope not, but they nevertheless, they do have a certain sort of hope to all of them.
Yeah, but it's
despite,
not, but it's
despite the central metaphor of the books that, of Santa being burnt out because Christmas has gotten kind of burnt out.
Right. So, but they're not your typical, they're not like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or anything like that.
It's funny you bring it up because in Cupid, the first one, I mean, if I can, like, I think about the original short story that became these books, because they were stories first. They were actual, they were short story, short fiction in a sense, humor, but nevertheless, and it didn't make it to the books. But with Cupid used to sort of torment Rudolph in the original short story.
Oh God!
Like and do stuff like, but it didn't make it to these books because it just there's only so much could go in, and really ultimately the tale that Cupid's Farewell Christmas is there's the line on one of the pages, be it freedom, love, or toys, it always feels best when we give.
Oh.
And I don't know if you have the image of it from the book. Santa says that he kind of he's smoking his cigar and he's a little happier and he looks straight at the camera. If you think about the book as a movie, so to speak, and he kind of says that because, that's really what Christmas is, right? It always feels best when we give.
Exactly.
Which kind of, I guess I can kind of tangent into where the project is now, because I think I was telling Ralph, we're doing all these animated video Christmas cards.
Oh, they're wonderful. They're fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to show one of those.
Oh, please do.
Let me see if
I sent a couple of those a couple years back to a couple of friends, and
yeah, I think we've sort of have the whole platform a lot better than we had them years ago when we first. But yeah, there's a whole, there's about I think there's about 7 different ones now. A couple of the art's the same, but the message is a little bit different.
Right.
There's one with children sitting on Santa Claus's lap crying, and one of the little girl on the lap gives the finger.
Oh, wait, let me find that one.
It's funny because what I remember the most, like when we did our first interview at Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, years ago, is the way you explained it to me, especially right before we did the interview, was this is a Christmas story for adults. This is a story, a child's story, but made for adults.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it a kid's book for adults.
Exactly. There you go.
I can't show it because she's doing but I will. I just realized.
So you can't show the reindeers going at it because that's a different one.
I can't show that one.
But you could probably show the one where Santa's smoking the cigar. That one works.
Having a smoking holiday.
Yeah, or no, Santa's got to do what he's got to do. I think that one somehow I like that one a little bit better.
I know this is tickling me. This is hilarious.
All right.
This is probably the best. Santa is probably the coolest dude I've ever seen. Okay, let's see if
he's sort of modeled on the coolest. What's the guy from the Dos Equis commercial? The most interesting man alive in the world.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You should have seen it, Leslie, a couple of years ago at WinterCon. He brought in this guy who was playing Nick.
Oh yeah,
he embodied the. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Oh my goodness! So somebody actually played the character.
Well, we had a friend of mine. Yeah, that's one of the pages, but it's not the actual video off the website.
Right.
No, but we started to develop this character to go along with the books for promotional, and it was like we call him Nick Claus. And he was sort of like the anti-Santa Santa, and he would go around and like ask people, usually women and girls, and often cosplaying girls in interesting costumes. Yep, there's Santa. There we go. I'll finish that note in a second.
So much better than one of the first ones you did.
Yeah, they look a lot better now.
Santa's got to do what he's got to do. Yeah, baby.
I love it. I love it. Just the idea. I mean, totally. You know what? It is so Bruce Willis. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of Bruce Willis. You know how Bruce Willis was in his movies, that whole franchise that he had that was
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Christmas story.
Yeah, which it is. It's a Christmas story.
It really was. Yeah. That's funny. I hadn't really put the two together. But yeah, in a sense, right? Like our Santa's sort of a badass. I think I can say that, right? And
that's exactly what it reminded me of. It reminded me of him being, Bruce Willis.
But back to our Nick Claus character, which he's still, yeah, like it's still part of this, but it doesn't work so much it doesn't work virtually. Like you have to, like the whole plan was to have him go around like shooting little videos at malls and stuff, because he's great on camera and great live. He's hilarious, and he's like just fearless and shameless, you know, and he's jacked. He's a personal trainer, so he doesn't look like Santa at all, but he dresses up and he just goes around. He's like, all right, so tell me how you got on the naughty list. You know, and there was this really one funny one, because we went to we didn't go to Comic-Con the year after we met you guys, Ralph, but
that's true. Yeah.
But Nick Claus and I, we went and just promoted at one day at Comic-Con, and we were outside, and he asks this one woman, so how'd you get on the naughty list? And she was older. She was probably like 60, and she goes like this. And
he just brings it out, man.
And he just brings it out, but to make it even better, and I have the videos, like eventually they'll be live, he actually had his own stash, and he pulls it out, and he's like, you mean like this? And she's like, yeah, it was just. And there's another video that we did. There was another one where he went up to, there was a guy dressed as Silent Bob from Jay and Bob. Yeah. And they have this kind of fake funny fight over Bob's stash.
Oh gosh.
So we were doing all these videos, but then like what happened was like I wound up going to Frankfurt and meeting my agent, she's a book packager, and she, you know, putting these together. So last year she's like, just kind of like tamp it down right now, because we want to keep it fresh for right now. For publishers, you know, just the whole package. And then this year it was COVID. So it was like, okay, so things have kind of, you know, just been on a low simmer right now.
So you're telling me you had to tone it down?
We had to, she asked, like, because my goal is really to get these with a traditional publisher and get it into stores. That's the whole thing. And she agrees, and she's like, Cliff, don't worry, you know, these books are going to be around for a while, and there's three of them.
They're classics.
So she's like, you don't want to sell too many of them. I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but she's like, you kind of don't want to sell too many of them right away, because then it's going to dilute the interest of the publisher. So she wants to package all three books with all the cards as a one unit.
I
think so too. So I have to kind of remind myself sometimes, like, okay, so it's like my hands are off of it a little bit now, and what I've ultimately wanted is happening, but I just have to sort of put that into perspective sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you slow down in order to get to that finish line.
Yeah, exactly. Because in some ways, and I guess this was her take on it, was like, you might wind up going towards the wrong finish line. And I get that. And this year, you know, there was what happened. I mean, we were ready to kind of shop Cupid's Farewell Christmas and Mrs. Claus Tells All at the London Book Fair last year. Because I met her.
Oh, wow.
And the booth was, everything was ready. You know, we were one of her clients that were going there, and then they canceled it like 2 days before it was supposed to go. So, I mean, needless to say, that was, you know, like a major disappointment for the whole thing. But as she reminds me, she's like, don't worry, these books are going to be around for a while. So it just, you know, because there are some people interested.
Well, here's the thing: Christmas doesn't ever go out of style.
Exactly.
And I think what's interesting about it is that we've all, our whole entire life, have been fed a certain type of Christmas movie or Christmas story or whatever, and it's almost to the point that it's just too sweet; it makes your teeth hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking for something like this, because this is like a little, you know, a switch up of the traditional story and everything. And, you know, because after a certain time, you know, you kind of get sick of Santa. You know, Santa's always jolly. He's always happy. He's always, you know, jovial. But I want to see the real stuff. I want to see the real dealio Santa, like what he really goes through. You know?
Well, I don't know if you have the picture up, but in Mrs. Claus Tells All, she kind of is revealing his sullen and morose side. And there's the one picture, and actually it's on the Instagram page too, where he's staring in the mirror and he's contemplating shaving the beard off.
Oh my goodness.
He's got a straight razor and he's just.
Oh my goodness.
And then like the quote on the Instagram is like, "To be or not to be, that is Santa's question."
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? One thing we did not read, and I want to read your bio.
Oh, okay.
So,
or do you want to read? You know what? Even better would be the about
on the about the web page.
Well, or what the books are about. The two book descriptions, because in some ways we've tried to make it not so much about us.
Yeah.
I mean, our bios are fine, but the Cupid's Farewell Christmas description and the Mrs. Claus description, I think, are
the best. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to read anything like that, because I think they tell a lot about each of the books.
Okay, so let me read that. So, Cupid's Farewell Christmas and Mrs. Claus Tells All are the first two installments of Evan and Quinn's quirky, fresh, and comic Christmas trilogy. Delighting readers of all ages and backgrounds, the stories resonate with all who've grown tired of recycled stories and the hyper commercialized of the world's cherished holidays, the one's most cherished holidays. Exactly what I said.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I said I'm kind of getting over it. Combining timeless themes, humor, and artwork that evokes the nostalgia of one's favorite Christmas morning, or our books and animated video e-cards are soon to be, hold on, I'm reading, classics that can be read, shared, and enjoyed year after year. So, like your agent said, it is going to always be here. It's never going to go out of style.
That's the big picture of it all. Exactly. Yeah, and it's taking shape. We met Ralph. What is that? 4 years ago?
I think it was 4 years ago. Yeah.
Or was it the 18 Comic-Con, or was it fall of 17? It's fall of 17. You know why?
Yeah, I think it's fall of 17. Yeah.
Yeah, because my son was born in February of 17, and he's going to be 4 now. So we've been. And when he was about 2 months old, we did East Coast Comic-Con, and the book wasn't even finished yet, and people were buying it. We had this like black and white sketched book. It was like, and people were, and it was like May, and people were still into like Christmas in May on this unfinished sketched book. And then we're like, okay, I think we've got something here. And then we got to New York Comic Con, and right after that, we colorized it, because I think originally it was just a black and white book, and then we colorized it.
This whole thing in New York Comic Con, it was just a black and white book. It was amazing. Even in black and white, it was amazing. And that's where I got my book. I got my black and white version, but I've seen the color version, and now I want the color version.
Well, just give me your address, both of you. I'll send you one, because I certainly have them here.
I can't read the book. And just like I was saying, we were talking to KRISTINA, I honestly feel like certain excerpts, you should do like a video or just certain excerpts of Santa. Even having the guy that plays Nick read like certain excerpts from the book.
Mm-hmm. I can see that thing. He has a drink and a cigar, and he's reading.
Yeah, have it ready for Christmas. If you can't do it this Christmas, have it for Christmas next year, and that would be such a heck of a promotion.
Oh yeah,
because the thing is that the reason why people were still buying it in May is because Christmas doesn't go out of style. It is always going to be here, and people are always looking for something to different during this time of the year. This is one of the reasons why like horror movies thrive this time of the year, because people, it's totally the antithesis of what Christmas is about. People go and watch horror movies because, they want to see something different. It's just all sugar and spice.
You know what's funny, Leslie? I think people forget that ghost stories and Christmas are synonymous.
Yes, synonymous.
Sometimes a good ghost story is a good Christmas story.
Yeah. Well,
it's true. Well, I mean, look at one of the most famous ones, right? Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. But it's kind of interesting what you were saying, Leslie, because because obviously, it's Mrs. Claus and it's Cupid's Farewell Christmas and then the Elves book. So it's all the Christmas theme. But I think that some of the themes in the books are universal and they transcend Christmas.
I agree.
Because they are, you know, Cupid in many ways, that book is really about having the courage to be yourself.
Mhm.
Because Cupid, the reindeer, he just doesn't, you know, he doesn't want to be on the reindeer team anymore. He wants to be his own deer. And as Ralph knows, some of the memes and some of the promotional stuff, posters and things that we would have is be your own deer.
Exactly.
Which is a double entendre in and of itself. You know,
Yeah.
if you spell deer differently, it's like loving yourself.
Yeah.
And doing your own thing and not being part of the sled team that's not you.
Yeah.
And then Santa kind of realizes, and Cupid is his favorite, and Cupid with love and all that too. Santa realizes that the best gift that he could give is to give Cupid his freedom and to let him be his own deer.
I was going to say it's funny though because it goes to the heart of Christmas, because we're supposed to have Christmas in our heart year round, and you know, because Christmas isn't just this season; it's something else. It's something that comes from the heart. And I feel your books actually cover that that narrative of what Christmas really is.
It comes from the heart, and it's about love. It's some ways kind of like the golden rule in a sense, right? If you want to just go there, it's loving others as the self.
Exactly.
And the books, all three, kind of ultimately do that, and gets to, you know, just sort of the essence, but a different sort of take on Christmas, like I hope, and I think it does. I mean, just judging by how people have reacted to them.
Oh no, I agree. It's what people want, because you know, if they're, like Celebrity said, if they're looking for something else other than the sweet stuff we keep getting thrown down our throats, then this is it. This is an imperfect Christmas story where we are imperfect, yet we should hold Christmas in our hearts anyway.
And I think too, that's the thing. I think that from the perspective of an adult, you know, Christmas is primarily for kids, but I mean, we want something for ourselves too for Christmas. So to have a book that's written for, you know, an adult is, you know, we're fascinated with stuff like that, because, you know, you still have the spirit of Christmas around you, but you want to see something that is more age appropriate. Shadow Rabbit just said on Facebook that he said your books, that's a great book, by the way. So,
well, thank you, Shadow Rabbit.
Yes, so we definitely have to look at that book. If you're going to send that book, I will definitely read it. Actually, though, I would rather.
And it'll take you 10 minutes because they're really short.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, there it is.
Wait. Let me pull you out.
Really short and really meaningful.
Oh, there you go.
That's the color one.
Hold on, let's pull you up.
Wait. I gotta show mine.
Can a curse be in print?
Yeah, well, let me see. Nobody can go ahead. Let me see. Oh gosh, it's so good. It looks great. Oh wait, does he have a gun?
That's the first page.
Yes, this is not your type of Santa. This is just something else.
Well, there you go.
That. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Just beautiful.
So yeah, no one knows that Santa carries a shotgun now.
Well, he has to.
He sure does. The world is a dangerous place.
The world that we live in, he better carry a shotgun.
I was just gonna say,
that's exactly
I even got my bag with my.
You still have that bag.
It says, "Be your own deer."
Be your own deer. That's it.
And I have a black and white book.
From the black and white.
I want to see that. I want to see that bag.
Oh, you want to see it again? Hold on.
Up again.
See, be your own deer.
Oh, and what a cute little deer it has on it.
And then
I love it. I love it.
And here, and this is sort of the other.
There it is.
some reindeer just weren't made for sledding.
Let me pull you up. Hold on, so people can see that.
Whoops.
Oh, that is so cute.
Oh, very cute.
So that's sort of the other tagline from the book. You know, some reindeer weren't made for sledding, which you can kind of superimpose any sort of individualistic notion onto that. And, you know, so it works, you know, it's a metaphor for all of those things, which. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. This book speaks to everybody.
I hope so. And thank you, Ralph, for saying that. It's sometimes, you know, you guys were talking about with KRISTINA about, you know, writing and creation, and then sometimes things really do sort of happen magically, you know, that are unexpected, and on some level some of these things happen with these books. I remember writing Mrs. Claus. You know, I wrote, you know, Cupid as the short story, but then I wrote Mrs. Claus on a hot, like steamy August afternoon that my wife and son were like in bed. It was like one of those August days that it's like you can't go outside in New York.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's like walking through like pea soup.
Yeah.
And they were sleeping in the bed next to me, and I'm sitting there. I wrote it on my phone. I wrote the whole story that day on my phone. And you know, some things happen differently ultimately in the book, but the real story itself sort of just happened at that moment. But you know, Mrs. Claus, it's funny. My kids watch YouTube a lot, and like these little children's shows, and they have like these YouTube commercials, and one of them is all these women thanking Mrs. Claus now. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, Mrs. Claus. Thank you, Mrs. Claus. Thank you, Mrs. Claus, for making the show. I'm like, damn, that's like, sounds like the book in some ways. But it's a little edgier and, you know, than just, but yeah, she's the one, you know, when Santa's like, you know, down and out, you know, she's bucking up her dude.
Yeah,
and
that's what a good wife is supposed to do.
Absolutely. You know, and, you know, she had other dreams that she wanted to, you know, she was, like we said, she was a beauty queen, the Arctic Circle beauty queen. And, you know, one of the pictures of the book is her, like, you know, at the beauty pageant getting awarded her trophy.
Yeah.
You know, and she had dreams of doing other things in life, but, you know, how could you pass up being Mrs. Claus?
That speaks to what, you know, us. Sometimes we got to do other things for other people, and we don't get to actually accomplish what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. I mean, I have it. I don't have a color version of the book, but I can kind of show you like a picture.
I'm not mad at her for marrying a man who loves kids, is the most person in the world, and brings a lot of joy to people.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well,
you know what she was doing. I would give up a beauty queen for that too. Oh, hold
there
on,
she goes.
Let me pull this up. Oh.
You bet I was a number.
Wait a minute. That's the beauty queen pose, or that's our Playboy layout?
Well, that follows up the beauty queen page, because she says, you know, I was an Arctic Circle beauty queen, and then, you know, the next page, you bet I was a number. You know, there's a little sequence where she talks about her past, like that her first love was the, you know, the North Pole vet. You know, and she's like, you bet he could deliver a caribou.
Oh.
It's a great story, Leslie.
So we're really kind of, you know, it's a little disappointing that it didn't get ready for this year, but it wouldn't really have been ready anyway.
Yeah.
There's like 5 more that he's got to finish the illustrations, but we expect it to be ready next year.
I can't wait.
And maybe even some advance clips of the elves, and hopefully Nick Claus will be back in action. And
well, you know, sometimes the delays are for good, because, you know, we get a better product because we had more time to deal with it. Sometimes it works the other way, but I feel like for you, it's going to work this way because, you know, it just lets you have a better product for everybody.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, one of the things, I mean, shopping is limited this year, and I think these books they're really meant for stores. They were a hard thing to market online. You got to kind of see them and hold them. There's something about them.
Yes, I agree. Totally.
Yeah, so it's maybe good that they're sort of held off in that regard, but it's also the perfect year for the cards, the animated cards, because, you know, so maybe that and people. What's that, Ralph?
Perfect 2020 cards.
Exactly, and one of them's got Santa, like you can show this one where presents are so 2019. That's what it says. He's like all pissed off. He's driving his sled and he's like, oh, presents are so 2019. But the cards, I feel like, are really good for this year, because people are cooped up and they're going to be shopping online. And then next year, you know, the books will be ready and be distributed, you know, into brick and mortars again. And so, you know, perhaps it just sort of worked out, you know, in the right way. So I'm thankful for that. And, you know, it's just the whole thing is just, it's been an amazing journey, and it's still just sort of in the early parts of it, I hope.
I was just about to say that. It's all part of the journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Sooner or later, you'll get to the place where you want to go.
Yeah, and like I said before, I use that sort of other metaphor. I didn't want to get to the wrong finish line with this. I wanted to be, moving toward the right place.
Exactly.
And I think there's a lot of, if you want to play presents, I don't know if you can play the ones with the reindeer.
Happy holidays.
Which one? Let's see which one.
Yeah, that one up top. Presents are so 2019.
This one?
Yeah, because that one's kind of clean.
I like how they unwrap themselves.
Yeah. And they have music too. I don't know if maybe they don't come up or.
Yeah, I don't think the music is coming up.
Yeah, but they have music too, or present. Okay.
What stinking present?
What stinking presents?
Oh, that might not have been the one.
Yeah, there's two of that with that art, but they have two different messages. Yeah, what's presents are so 2019 is the one.
Okay, here it is.
Leslie, you're getting really good at this.
I'm trying.
Oh my God, presents are so 2019. Yep, you can say that in 2020.
Yeah. That's cute. I love it.
Yeah, so we're just hoping to get as many people to that page as we can this year. And
oh, they're great cards. They're funny.
Yeah, they're fun. They're
better now than when I first got onto it. Yeah.
Oh, they're much better now. Like it's been a really big process to be able to do that. Besides the animation, just to get the website to be able to run it, because you can also customize the card. It's not just sending the card. You can send like, hey, Ralph and Leslie.
Oh man,
you guys are Christmas miracles. And then that'll come up at the end of the card, and then you can reply to the sender.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's all kind of interactive and it's fun, but it wasn't easy to get it to do all this. It had to get coded, and I mean, it was like,
wow,
it's come a long way from the first one that I saw.
Totally, yeah. So it's up, it's running, and I have your emails, so I can send you a couple just myself. I think I have your, but you can send them via text too. So you can,
you can send
them, yeah, you can send them via SMS or by email. So yeah, I'll send you guys a couple.
The one thing that we did not touch on is the illustration, and one of the things that I really love about the illustration,
it's beautiful, yeah,
that it actually has that old feel of it, like that. I might be older than everybody on here, but
you're probably not older than me.
I don't know. I might be older. Yeah, we'll talk offline and see.
Okay, yeah. We don't want to reveal any of these secrets.
Yeah, no, I'm okay to say how old I am. I really am, because I think I look good for my age. But I have to say, when I was a kid and I had books, when I was a kid, the illustration of these books, and this was in the 60s when I had these books, they looked just like this. They were old books that if I got books from like the 40s or the 50s, the illustration was basically
that's the feel it has,
exactly like this.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to do that. And if you can pull up the cover of Cupid again,
okay,
I can kind of tell you the story a little bit, because there's kind of a joke to that too. There's a joke because there's two reindeer humping in the backyard of Santa's workshop. The back cover is the humping reindeer, which you can send as a card too.
Yeah.
But what we kind of talked about, and then obviously the North Pole sign with the shotgun holes. But part of the joke was with the Cupid cover, it was kind of supposed to look like a Thomas Kincaid painting.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
and it looks exactly like that.
But then ultimately, it's sort of winking at that, with the shotgun holes and the humping reindeer and whatnot. But that was sort of the joke, because I think that anybody, a painter who's making paintings that are sold in shopping malls, and that's sort of what the satire of the books are sort of poking at that, And so to have the front cover kind of look at one of those paintings, but also have humping reindeer and shotgun holes in the North Pole sign is, you know, that's the joke in a sense.
You basically have defiled the Thomas Kincaid.
No, but I mean, all power, you know, all power to Thomas Kincaid. You know, rest his soul.
Yeah.
But you know, he's sort of you know, it's kind of an aspect of what am I? It's just kind of poking fun at you know, if art's being sold in shopping malls,
right?
That's sort of right aligned with everything else that's sold in shopping malls and everything that's like wrong with Christmas in a sense.
But you do make a point in the sense that what I remember of any book or anything that was drawn back in the day, it was very Thomas Kincaidish.
Yeah.
It had that vibe to it, and so people would associate that with Christmas art.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Standard as far as Christmas art is everything that looked like a Thomas Kincaid presentation.
That's exactly it. Except, you know, just to beat the dead horse, I don't think any Thomas Kincaid paintings have humping reindeer tucked off to the side.
But that's exactly what I was saying. But anyway, so we're almost.
Come on, have a humping holiday.
Have a humping holiday.
Yeah, exactly. We're really actually top of the hour. We did go a little bit extra because this has just been such fun content.
It's been a lot of fun.
Both guests have been a blast.
Yeah, definitely have. So we can find you on Facebook at Cupid's Farewell Christmas.
Or Instagram, or just on the site. You know, the site you guys can find us too.
And I really recommend for our audience to go out there and actually get the Christmas cards and send them. I mean, this is going to be probably one of the most unique things that you could give somebody.
Oh yeah.
They're
a lot of fun.
And it definitely is giving a wink and maybe a sneer to 2020 by sending these like very sarcastic cards in a sense, comedic and sarcastic at the same time. I totally I can't wait to read this book. And both of them actually, and to see the new one that's coming out about the elves. I can't wait to get the exclusive on the elves.
Well, just to tamp down a little bit of the anticipation on that one, like it's written and there's one illustration done. So that one, like Mrs. Claus is next, and maybe there'll be a little bit of advance, like some illustrations for the elves next year. I don't know if you don't want to put them all out together.
Yeah.
That's completely true. Yeah,
but it's funny because I think with KRISTINA, you guys were talking a little bit about Krampus too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And you know, just because I was thinking, oh wow, it's, you know, because at one point in the elves book, like the elves like totally flip out on Santa, and because of what's happened, and you know, we're talking about COVID and what COVID, you know, is arguably doing to Christmas this year, etc. And all I'll say is they show up. Mrs. Claus is away. She's like doing some business for the Enterprise.
For the Enterprise?
Well, for the North Pole, the North Pole Enterprise.
Okay.
So she's off in Oslo, and Santa kind of has a meltdown. And when the elves show up in his house, he has, let's just say, he's taken on some seriously Krampus characteristics.
Ooh.
I'm loving that. I'm loving that concept.
You're just selling. We bought this. You haven't sold it. We bought it already. People out there already like, give it to us.
Yeah, definitely. So
certainly those horror show people, right?
Yeah, definitely. People who do love horror shows and stuff like that. I can't wait. So please like and subscribe. You know, purchase the content, support the content, follow. You know, Clifford Evan on Instagram and on Facebook. And I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to see what's coming more of this storyline and what's going to happen with you. This is so exciting. And yes, you'll never go out of style with this kind of content.
Well, thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it. And I'm serious. You know, once we're offline, just send me the addresses. And I mean,
oh, thank you.
Yeah, like the color books of Cupid anyway. And when Mrs. Claus comes, because there'll probably be they're probably going to be laid out, you know, in 21, early 21, and then there'll probably be some prototypes available. So I'll make sure when that's kind of ready, that some of those will come your way.
Well,
Yes.
I really do think too that you need to have Nick being in the character.
Oh yeah, Nick. I mean, I know Nick, and he's a really good friend of mine. He's also my personal trainer. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and he's hilarious. He's just, and so I just saw him, sometimes I work out with him, like on Zoom right now. And I'm like, Nick's not dead, dude. We'll resurrect him as soon as we can.
Well, there you go. I've given you do that on YouTube. I think that people want that right now, and you've got a audience. People want to see some kind of humor in this really 2020 that we've been having. So definitely, please, audience, go and support and Clifford and Nick, of course, too, and whatever is going to come out of the storylines with the traditional and not so traditional Mr. and Mrs. Claus story, reindeers and elves. This is
just I think if you go to the website, the Cupid's for a Little Christmas, everything is sort of funnels out from there too. So if they need to find us or go to Facebook or Instagram, everything's sort of connected through there. And then there's all over the site, there's buttons, send an e-card. So it's pretty easy to sort of navigate that. And and like I said, it's fun because you can just write anything it has those messages like you showed on the videos, but you can write anything you want.
Well,
so if you have
next for you is the YouTube with Nick, and then I want to see the screens play and the story. That's what we have to see.
All in good time, for sure. It's funny you said that, because I was talking to Sonny, who's the illustrator, and we have long conversations. It's kind of interesting that maybe ultimately the screenplay would be all 3 books, because in some way they can kind of work together. Some stuff would have to be cut out and whatnot, but I think there's sort of enough of a through line in some ways. And the funny thing is that Cupid would probably be the 3rd part of it. Like it's kind of a Star Wars sort of situation, where Cupid would probably be the last part of the screenplay in some ways.
Listen.
That makes sense.
I think you need to do it. Trust me on that one. Do it. You need to do it.
You got something, brother. I keep telling you.
You definitely
Thank you, Ralph. Yeah, we believe in it. That's why we're still holding on. Yeah, like Santa on the sled.
Yeah, you definitely need to do it. I think people want to see a Christmas trilogy like that. All right.
Thank you
so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Leslie. Ralph.
We can't wait.
Very much a pleasure.
We'll probably have you back on the show, and we want to say thank you also
anytime
to the Rhode Island Author Expo for having us today. Hello, everybody that's attending and stuff like that. Please go and support all of these authors, all of their content. You right now go back to reading, not so much watching, but go back to reading. And consume some of the stuff, and just actually, pick up a book and actually have it in your hand. It's a wonderful feeling on a nice rainy day. So thank you so much, Clifford, for being with us today.
Thanks, Leslie.
We will be here next Saturday. Who are we having next Saturday? I totally don't know.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll let you guys know this week.
Okay. We'll let you know who we're going to be having. But we're here next Saturday, of course, as always, at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time. And thank you, Cliff, for being here with us today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Send me your address. You got some books coming.
We will. Don't leave. We'll be talking offline.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day, everyone. And we wish you well. Stay in good health. And see you next Saturday.